This is Ronald at WIN-911, and thank you for joining us for our next installation of our instructional video series. In this video, number 6, we're going to cover tactics and strategies. This one will be a little bit more PowerPoint intensive than the previous ones. We're going to talk through kind of the ideas behind things and talk through some examples. Then we'll go through the configurator and the browser and actually build some out ourselves. So stick with me here. Let's move on to the next slide here. So with this, we're introducing some more strategic notification. The idea is we want to go beyond a simple call-out list to provide more flexibility and customization that can better fit specific use cases of our SIs and clients. And so we want to allow for some more efficient use of personnel, some policies to be executed dynamically, and then it will definitely help with any changes internally, as you can use roles and labels to apply that logic versus having to rely on applying that to the individual or the specific alarm. And then it's going to scale very well with complexity and is script free. All right, this should look familiar. In general, alarms trigger strategies and strategies utilize tactics. Strategies are the policies for when to take actions, and tactics are the actions themselves. A couple of simple use cases. A simple call-out list would be just to call Adam, or we can get a little bit more complex and go call Adam and then send an email to John. And then we can take that a notch up. Depending on the alarm, we can notify the safety officer and then all plant personnel. Or if it's the weekend, let's call Adam. Or if it's not the weekend, send an email to John if it's low priority, or email to Charles if it's high priority. And this is one of the ones we'll come back to and build out so you can kind of see what that looks like. In general, your strategies will specify policies for when to take an action, which could be when an alarm occurs, when the alarm state changes, after 30 minutes, or when it gets acknowledged. We'll see that in more detail here in a minute. Okay, we talked about this last time. Your roles are for grouping of people. Your labels allow grouping of alarms. Both should help to simplify configuration and maintenance. And then we're going to come back to this as well. But again, more things you can do. You can check if it's a technical alarm, if the alarm has a technical label, and then alert the technicians if so, or operators if not. If any alarm state changes, you are able to notify all previously notified personnel, and then you can put timers on things as well. Okay, so I'm going to talk us through a few of these, and then we're actually going to go back to the browser, the configurator, and start building some of these out. I'll point out here, so the little green red circle is an alarm event that has happened. Actually, technically, it's the strategy that's being started, which is being started because an alarm event has happened. So that's what that means. The little red circle is one that it's now stopping because the alarm event has been cleared, acknowledged, or whatever reason you have to stop that. So this one's looking at roles. This is saying when the alarm event or when the strategy kicks in, we're going to notify all the operators. We're going to wait 20 minutes and then notify all the managers. And these would be anybody who have the role assigned to them as operator or manager. You can also base this on severity decision blocks. I'll point out here the little red triangle means false logic. On the right, it's true logic. So this is saying if the alarm event itself has a severity of greater than 500, and that's true, you need to notify Bob through his mobile app there. Or if the severity is not greater than 500, the false logic here, we want to email Adam. And on this one, we can put in a time decision block. This is saying when the strategy kicks in, because the alarm event, we're going to wait 45 minutes. If it's the weekend, so that's our next decision block. Is it weekend true? So yes, weekend. We're going to send a report to Steve on his mobile app. If it's the weekend false, so not the weekend, we're going to go to the next decision block, which is the nightly 12-hour schedule. So if we are on that schedule, the true side, we're going to send a report to Steve on his mobile app. Or conversely, if we are, if it is not a nightly 12-hour schedule, then we are going to do nothing. Let's move on to the next couple of examples here. And we can do labels as well. So if the event starts, we're going to check for the safety label. If it does have the safety label, we're going to call the fire department. and we're also going to call the police department. You can put in these departments, so not actually technically employees, but you can type those in, put their phone number in, and we can notify them. So we're going to call the fire department, call the police department, and then notify the safety team. Or if it does not have the safety label, we're going to go down the left side, and we're going to see, does it have the building 1 label? If so, notify all the members of the building 1 ops team. If it does not have the building 1 label, then notify all the members of the building 2 ops team. And you can also build sub-tactics into anything you'd like. Sub-tactics are just regular tactics that you can attach to other things. So if you have similar things that you want to, you're going to be using a lot moving forward, you build one sub-tactic and you insert that sub-tactic into another tactic. So this is based on a severity block. This is saying, is the severity greater than 700? If that's false, you're going to email Adam, you're going to wait 10 minutes, and then you're going to call Adam on the phone. If that is true, that it's greater than 700, you're going to notify Adam on his mobile app, you're going to wait 3 minutes, and then call Adam. And this is what that sub-tactic looks like. So this right here is all this built out. It's just a cleaner way to do it. That way, if you want to attach it to something else, you don't have to rebuild it every single time. You can just drag that specific sub-tactic over. So this one's saying, upon the initial alarm event, we're going to run the Adam sub-tactic, which is going to look at these things. It's going to look at the severity. If it's less than 700, go this way. Greater, it's going to go this way. It's going to do this up to 3 times. That's 3 times in addition to the 1, so it could be up to 4 times total. That's going to allow for Adam to have some time to respond. And then once the 4 times total have passed, we're going to notify Steve on the mobile app itself, on his mobile app. Okay, so we're going to take a look at some strategies. Again, your tactics are the actions to be taken. The strategies are the policies that dictate when to take that action. So in the strategy workspace, you will be able to give it a name. And then this is the simple view here. So upon the initial event, it's going to start the tactic called operators and managers. If anything changes on the alarm state, we're going to re-notify anybody who's already notified. And then when it becomes terminal, which has been acknowledged and cleared out, so it's no longer an alarm, on the PLC SCADA side, then stop the strategy. 2 parts here, your name and description, and then the actions and conditions upon which we need to react and respond. I'm gonna not read all of these, but in general, you have 11 conditions you can set, and then 6 actions that can be taken. And then some of these will require a tactic to be specified as part of those actions, which you'll see a couple red dots there. Then you click on that and you can select a tactic to associate with that specific action there. And this is a more complex view here. So you can start this on the initial event, start this tactic. Anything changes, re-notify everybody. If you want to wait an hour, you can do that and then start a new tactic called backup. And then if the event quality changes, re-notify anybody previously notified. Then after an hour and a half, start another tactic called notify all. Then when it becomes terminal, stop the strategy, which in turn stops this tactic. The idea is we want to be able to form our software around your specific use cases and needs. This will kind of allow you to do that. It's a ton of flexibility there. And then to bring it all together before we go into the browser itself, let's start building some of these out. Your alarms trigger strategies. Strategies utilize tactics. So here's the alarm that you would have set up. Here's the standard strategy there, and then the tactic right here. I think that's, oops, I missed one. The tactic right here, and then what that tactic looks like, which is when the alarm event happens, you're going to notify all the operators, wait 20 minutes, and then notify all the managers. Okay, perfect. Now that we've got some of these kind of talked through, let's go through and start building some of these out. There were a couple of good examples in here. All right, so I'm going to put this to the side here. I'm going to pull up my configurator, put them side by side. Hopefully you can see them both here. Let me make this a little bit smaller so you can get all that on the screen here. All right, let's go to our workspace, tactics, and we're going to start with a basic tactic to show you how that works. Again, your basic tactic is a simple call-out list. It's going to go down the list one by one by one. I'm going to resize this here. I'm going to go to example simple. And let's say in the event of an alarm, we want to call Adam, Romeo, and then email John. So it's going to go down this list trying to contact people at the preferred method here, and it will stop when somebody responds or when it completes the list, unless you set up any repeats right here. And then if they don't pick up or don't respond, you can set retries right here as well. So in this case, if we wanted to call Adam, then we would just have Adam only on the list right there, if he was the only one we wanted to have notified. A different way to go to achieve that would be through the advanced side here. Let me, clear out my previous one. Okay. So this is the initial alarm event. We'll just say simple call Adam, just for this example. It would be, we want to notify Adam. This is all drag and drop. And then you can click on these to bring up different options here. So this first option upper left is to copy this specific decision block. You can insert it somewhere else if you've cut it, or you can just trash it all together. But here's our edit mode. We're going to specify who to notify, which in this case is going to be Adam. You see the person's name, their connection string, and then the type. So you might have Adam who has a voice type, Adam might have an email type, he may have all of them or just one of them. We're going to select that one. And I'll point out here too, so if you've applied a schedule to Adam or anybody else, you can choose to ignore that schedule. If it needs to be something that's going to be high priority, you want to notify them no matter what, click that and it will ignore any schedule you have in there for them. So now you see we have Adam's name on there along with his notification type, which is the phone call. I'll point out too here that this is the schedules. So you can see schedules are honored. If we were to go through and click on ignore his schedule, that will change to show an X, and now his schedule is not being honored, it's being ignored. Same thing here. This is, oops. All right, yeah, so let's move on. Okay, so we're going to call Adam. Let's go ahead and send an email to John next. So we have that call Adam. We're going to send an email to John. So we're going to drag our individual notification block here, and we're going to specify that emails John. So great, we've got John's email, perfect. Click that, and then you'll see it's now John and the email symbol beside John's name there. Okay, it's pretty easy one. Let's go to something that's a little bit more complex. I'm gonna clear this out and then start anew, which is right here. Okay, actually I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger so it builds out a little bit better. Make this a little bit smaller here. All right, thanks for sticking with me. So upon the alarm event here, we want to notify the safety officer. So we're looking for the safety officer role here. So we're going to select, oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. So safety officer is going to be under notify all. And we're going to, same thing, click on that to go to our edit mode. And then you'll find, if you've added it or anyone you've added, safety officer right here. So any person with the label, with the role of safety officer will be notified. It could be one person, it could be more than one person. So perfect, we're gonna, upon the initial event, notify safety officer, and then all plant personnel duty. Same thing, notify all. Gonna go to edit and then look for plant personnel. Perfect, so we have that in there. So we're gonna start notifying safety officer and then the plant personnel. Pretty easy and straightforward. Let's go ahead and move down to the a little bit, harder one here. If it's on the weekend. All right, let me clear this out. Okay, we're gonna add a new one here. And then this is gonna be based on the schedule to start with. So we're gonna go to our schedule decision block here. I'm gonna drag that over. And then we're gonna click on it to apply a specific schedule, which will say weekends. Perfect, so you can see weekends here. So if it's the weekend, we want to call Adam. So it's gonna look and say, does this match this schedule? If yes, go to the right. If no, go to the left. So if it is the weekend, that's to the right, we want to call Adam. So we're gonna go back here, drag our individual notification decision block right here. Gonna click on it, click edit, and set it to call Adam. Otherwise, we want to send an email to John. if the alarm is low priority, or send it to Charles if it's high priority. So a couple of moving parts there. One is to email John. That's dependent on the severity of the alarm. So we're going to start with the severity, because that's where our decision lies. So we're going to pull this over, and we're going to start here, and we're going to, and the severity level, whether you consider that high or low, will be dependent on your specific use cases. Your version of high could be 100, it could be 1,000, but it's going to look and see what you have it set at and if it exceeds that. For our example, we'll just say severity over 100 is considered, I'm sorry, I'll do over 500. 500 is considered to be high priority. Okay, so if it's greater than 500, on the right, that logic is true. We're going to send an email to Charles. And if it's low priority, which we'll consider anything less than 500, it's going to go to the left here. So let's start with Charles, because he's going to get the high priority alarm notification. I didn't add Charles in here, so we're going to go back and do that for consistency's sake here. Okay, so we're going to go to email, connections, and we're going to add Charles in. Charles at 911.com. Okay, we're going to save that and go back to our workspace here. And you can see it's right where we left it. As long as you don't close the browser out, it'll keep where you're at. If you close it without saving changes, then you'll lose those. Click on edit. Now we see Charles in there, so we're going to select Charles, and boom, he is there. Or if it's not high priority, if it's low priority, we're going to email John. I'm going to make this bigger. And sometimes you might see this happening, so we're going to back out and then back in. And sometimes you may have to remove something so it redraws it properly. Depending on the size of the window, it may cause it to do that, but we can just remove it and then we'll re-add it back in there. So Charles is going to be, there we go, that looks proper. Emailed in the event of a high priority, or we're going to email, I think it was John, is that right? Yep, John in the event of a low priority. All right, email John here. Perfect. Let's see these side by side, make sure I got this right. Whoops. Try that again, there we go. All right, so we're going to start with, is it the weekend? If it is, call Adam. If it's not the weekend, look at the severity. If it's, look at the priority there. If it's high priority, we're going to email Charles. If it's low priority, we're going to email John. So hopefully that makes some sense here. And let's see if there's any other examples we could build through. We definitely recommend when you're going through this the first couple times to write it out. It makes building out so much easier if you can see it there in front of you in person. Let's click back through here. There was one more I want to go through. Okay, here it is. So when an alarm event occurs, we're going to check for the technical label and then notify as appropriate. So we'll build that out. So we're going to look for the label, which is the label decision block right here. We're going to start there. And we need to give it some point of reference, so what it's looking for. And we are looking for technical. Perfect. So if it's technical, if it's true that it's technical, go this way. If it's false that it's technical, go this way. So if it is true, we want to notify all of the technicians. So we're going to go to our notify all, drag our technicians over here, or drag that block over here, and then look for technicians, which I don't have set up, so let's make sure that I get that added in there. So we're going to go and add that real quick. I'm going to go to roles, and we're going to add technicians. Technicians. And all of the technicians. I'm going to give that a nice color here, something we don't already have. Perfect. Let's go back to our notification workspace here. Okay. I'm going to, so it draws properly, remove that, and then pull that back over here. So we want to notify, if it's not technical, we're going to notify the operators. Perfect. And then if it is technical, we're going to notify all of the technicians. And one thing I'll point out here too, you won't notice any specific notification method right here like you did with the individual block right here. That's because this is going to base it on the preferences for that specific individual. So if somebody has the technician role applied to them, but they only have an email connection, let's say we apply this technician to Charles, then it's going to look at what Charles's connection method is. In this case, it's going to be email, and it will email Charles. On those same lines, if somebody, let's say Romeo, is a technician, let's go ahead and add that to him, and his connection method is voice, then when he gets notified, he's going to get a voice call right there. So I hope that makes sense. And then, so that's our tactics. Again, basic is a simple call-out list. Go down the list, somebody picks up, or the event is cleared out. And then advanced is where you get a lot more customization options there. And like we talked about before, your strategies control the logic behind when to take that action. We have a couple of pre-canned ones that cannot be deleted, which is to notify everybody and then re-notify state changes. And then you stop it when it's terminal, which is inactive and acknowledged. And there's another one saying do not notify. So we can create some other ones here, kind of like that slide showed before. Pull that back up here. You have a lot of options as far as when and how you want to notify and the complexity based on your use cases. So we're going to call this a test strategy. And here's our start tactic, and then here's when we want to end it. This is the simple mode. If you want to go to something more advanced, which is available in our advanced version, you have the options here. So you'll notice you have a lot more flexibility in when to start it, and if anything changes, what to do, and then when to end it. And you can also add a lot more of these conditions in here if you need to get more granular on how you approach this.